So, debunking Xmas is pagan, meme edition. Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Pod, just transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? Hope everybody's doing pretty good. Yeah, so please, if you have not yet already, please like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? Tell a friend that's him again. Please share this link. And if you like how it goes down with BK, you can show your appreciation via PayPal. Or if you'd like to be a monthly supporter of BK, you could become a Patreon where you get assortment of goodies to help you in your personal Bible study. And yeah, so I'm here with some heavy hitters in the building. You know what I mean? Because we have, one of the infamous bodega ladies. They call me D-Nice is in the building. What's going on?
What's going on? Hello. Hope everybody's doing well.
Yes. And of course, one of the sharpest dudes, someone who I am so proud to call friend and brother and tribesman, Mr. Phil Fox. What's going on,
sir? Yo, what up, fam? Coming to you live from the land of the Anishinaabe and the Potawatomi, now known modern day as Detroit Rock City, Southeast Michigan. What's up? Defeats the enemy in the house. It's good to be back on these YouTube streets, fam.
Yes, sir. We got CMB in the building. We got my man Vaughn Bryant. Actually, we had a good build last night. So I'm glad to see you in the chat. But yeah, guys, please share this link. Share this so that we can get as many people as possible into the room. We got Andela Armstrong in the building. What's going on? I'm glad you guys can make it. So, as most of us should know, we're now in the midst of what's known as the holiday season, right? Now, I don't know about the rest of the country, but for New Yorkers, right, the holiday season doesn't begin until the Thanksgiving Day parade, right? And at the end of the Thanksgiving Day parade, when Santa Claus comes down 6th Avenue, when you see him coming down, ending the parade, that's when the holiday season officially begins in New York. I don't know about all you guys, but we are in the holiday season, and I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. And of course, there are people that wish that you do not, right? They do not like the fact that you are having a good holiday season if you are. And they want to take away that joy from you because they believe that this holiday season is actually antithetical to God, right? This guy, man, listen. Okay, fine. But a sidebar real quick. Now that we don't have to pay Soto all that money, we could use that money now to get some quality starting pitching, which we desperately need. Because when you get to the postseason, you need really great pitching. So leave me alone. But I love you. So
baseball nerds.
Oh man, this guy right here. I know he's loving that. But anyway. So, we know that many people, for various reasons, take issue with Christmas. And they make the claim that Christmas is pagan. Now, with my panelists, why do people feel that Christmas is pagan? And just your opinion.
They don't like happy things. They don't like joy. They're very Eeyore in their disposition and mood. That's but I think too, no, in all honesty, I think it has to do with the consumer side of Christmas. And it becomes about the gifts and about the commercialism, and they associate it with that. But in all honesty, Why would you not celebrate, right? Commemorate,
Right.
fancy word.
What do you, Mr. Phil Fox? Why do you think there's some people out here that just seems to have it in for Christmas?
Yeah, I think my sis had, that's a good point, because I am myself personally rubbed the wrong way with all the commercialism that's going on in the modern sense of what Christmas is about. It's changed its focus. So, and that's a conversation for a different time. But I do think that alongside that commercialism, it seems kind of in that same vein. It seems that we have lost the focus so much so that it seems that it just turns out to be something that it's something that just has been sold out. And then also with that, there is this, especially in minority communities, because this is what we're in the urban apologetics setting. And so for a lot of our people, it's getting back to, quote unquote, our roots. And so I think a lot of it is just indoctrination, and again, sort of going back to the first point, a distrust of whether it be the status quo or the system or the organization that's been used a lot lately, especially in the last couple of days. If you don't know what's been going on with other folks within the conscious community. But the whole system and distrust of the status quo, I think, has a lot to do with the overarching problem with this whole distrust of Christmas and why it's pagan and deep misinformation.
Right.
Would be the main points.
No, I definitely agree. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, I've been doing this for a few years now. At this time, I like to really, dispel the myth of Christmas being having a pagan origin. But this year, what I would like to do is do a slight twist to it, and we're gonna just respond to some memes. Because, on Al Gore's internet, a lot of us get our information based off memes, right? And, when people say I've done my research, a lot of times what they do mean is, well, I've seen a bunch of memes that agree with my bias. Therefore,
Google University.
Yes, meme scholarship at its finest, right? So now, before we get into it, though, here's the thing. We don't have this discussion so that you feel the need to participate in Christmas. This is not what this is about. If you don't really care for Christmas, you're indifferent, that's great. I myself, I don't put up any holiday decorations. I don't put up any Christmas trees or anything like that. Shout out to Captain America himself, Kevin Benton.
What's up, man?
What's going on, sir?
Another day of debunking these pagan Christmas stuff. Let's go.
Pretty much, bro. It's a full-time job for us, right?
Yep.
And big up to Kevin. We just did a 3-day intensive debunking of Christmas being pagan. And Kevin, I definitely appreciate you allowing me to tag along and helping you out. How many people do we have overall in attendance for those classes?
We had 100. We literally hit 100 people exactly that registered for the class. So
wow,
yeah, we did really well.
That's what's up. So, but yeah, so and actually, I'm saying what I said during our classes. You don't have to celebrate Christmas. You really don't. If you don't put up a Christmas tree, you're not going to hell. This is not a salvific issue, right? But if your brothers and sisters are into Christmas, like my good friend Kevin loves Christmas.
Absolutely.
He loves it, right? So when we see our brother Kevin, getting his Christmas spirit on, we can't look down on him just because you are whatever about the holiday, because he's participating in a celebration that Christians have been doing for actually thousands of years.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. Another reason is really to expose the false piety of over righteous Christians. You know, because for a lot of you guys, you take great pride in not participating in this holiday because you think it's pagan, as if this makes you, you know, mega spiritual, right? And my thing is, if you want to really show us how spiritual you are, what you need to show us is not your disdain for a holiday. Show me your spouse. Is she radiant? Is your husband, you know, a better Christian because he's with you? Show me your kids. Are your kids walking in the Lord because of your example? Show me your co-workers. What do they say about you? Your parents. You know what I mean? It's like, if you really want to show us how righteous and spiritual you are, these are the people that could tell us better than your, you know, flippant attitude towards the holiday season. And we're also doing this for people who just want to take people out of the faith. Mm-hmm. People like the conscious community and you know, some of the Hebrew community, right? They use this as a vehicle to cause doubt in the hearts of believers, right? Because then the thinking is, well, if Christmas is pagan, is the rest of Christianity pagan? And then you're on your way out of your, you know, of being with the Lord. So these are the reasons why we're doing this. So with that being said, let's get into these memes. So here's one. On December 25th, people believe they are celebrating the birth of Christ, when in fact, they are glorifying the birth of Nimrod, also known as Molech and Baal. And MJ is like, wow, is this really true? Right? Kevin, is this true?
Negative.
MJ.
Should we be concerned?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm really more concerned now with the people who see these memes and just automatically believe them. Those, I have genuine, heartfelt concern for those people, because it's like, is that all it takes is a meme? You know, it's particularly in the group we're in Facebook. You know, I challenge them all the time, and I think I'm kind of becoming a troll now, because it's like, hey, I'm asking y'all every day. All y'all post is memes. Can we get one piece of evidence that's not included in a meme? You know,
right. And speaking of evidence, so where did they get this idea about that somehow this is the birth of Nimrod or Molech or Baal? Like, where did they get this from? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is an article entitled "The Two Babylons: A Case Study in Poor Methodology" by Ralph Woodrow. And it says here, while seeking to condemn the paganism of Roman Catholicism, Hislop produced his own myths. By so doing, he theorized that Nimrod, Adonis, Apollo, Attis, Baal, Zebub, Bacchus, Cupid, Dagon, Hercules, Janus, Linus, Lucifer, Mars, Mithra, Molech, Narcissus, Onus, Odin, Orion, Osiris, Pluto, Saturn, Tatian, Typhoon, Vulcan, Wodan, and Zoroaster were all one and the same. That's not true. And when we talk about Hislop, we're talking about Alexander Hislop, who wrote the book, The Two Babylons. Right? This is where people get this idea from. And Ralph Woodrow actually wrote a book inspired by this. But then when he started doing the research, he realized this guy was off. It says because Hislop wrote in the mid-1800s, the books he refers to or quotes are now quite old. I made considerable effort to find these old books and to check Hislop's references. Books such as Layard's Nineveh and its Remains, Kitto's Encyclopedia of Biblical Literature, Wilkinson's Ancient Egyptians, as well as old editions of Pausanias, Pliny, Tacitus, Herodias, and many more. When I checked his footnote references, in numerous cases, I discovered they did not support his claims. For these and many other reasons, I pulled my own book, Babylon Mystery Religion. How many has ever read that book? That book is right up there with The Two Babylons. He said, I pulled my own book out of print despite its popularity. This was not done because I was being threatened in any way or persecuted. This decision was made because of conviction, not compromise. So none of the information that was in that book is accurate at all. And MJ is having a good time seeing how this meme has been debunked. Guys, have any thoughts before we continue?
My man actually wrote another book, the Babylon Connection,
Yes,
and everything like that. I read that when I first started hearing about Hislop, and I started looking for sources to be able to debunk what he said. Woodrow was one of the first people I was turned on to, and I love the fact, I admire anybody, I don't care what it is, that can say, hey, I looked at the evidence and then realized what I believed was wrong, and I'm here to backtrack on what I said, and then goes on the apologetics against what he once believed. I applaud anybody that can, just let the evidence lead you to truth and not go in like Hislop did and trying to confirm what you went out believing in the first place. So, shout out to him. It takes a big man to admit when you're wrong, particularly when you've put a book out, talking
and
about
you're
it.
making money. He's getting a bag off of this.
Yeah.
This was very popular. So, anyone else before we continue?
Every time we debunk a myth, I'm going to throw these glasses on.
There you go. I like that. What about you, D-Nice? Good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, let's get to the next one.
While you moving, I just want to say what's up to D Nice and Phil. I didn't say hey to y'all when I first came on. My bad. Shani and Michelle and everybody in the chat. Blessings to y'all.
All right. So, did you know Christmas was illegal in the U.S. until 1836, as it was considered an ancient pagan holiday? Has anybody seen this meme before? Tia hasn't seen it before. He seems a bit perplexed, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's see if this is true, right? Well, as for the rule which originated in the Massachusetts Bay Colony affecting early Bostonians, it was repealed in more than 150 years earlier and prior to the founding of the United States of America in 1681, not 1836. The state of Massachusetts followed the southern state's lead in 1856, making Christmas a public holiday. So it was before there was the United States, and there was only one part of what would become the United States, not the entire country. So, and T.I. is just, he's just chucking it up right there. He's like, man, expeditiously debunked this meme. You know what I mean? So any questions? Any comments? No?
This is my question though. Logically speaking, like even just to ask yourself a question. Since when do the pagans care about what is pagan and non-pagan? Like that they gonna ban something that's pagan.
Right.
They're pagan themselves.
Well, they don't think they are.
But what would be their justification for ending Christmas, as they say, right? That's one. And then two, if you're talking about the Christians banned Christmas, again, what is the connection? Why? Like you have to ask yourself, for me, the question is, why so hard on Christmas? What is it about Christmas? And you have to ask yourself why. Like what's the big deal? And that, guess where that leads you? Like if you go down that rabbit hole, it ultimately, if you're being genuine, leads you to Christ.
Yeah.
It leads you to Him. And if it leads you to Him, then again, if you're being genuine, then you must find out about the man that the holiday is about. Because it's not about Saint Nick, it's about Jesus. And so you have to, if you're genuine, again, if you want to go down that rabbit hole and that's really what you're after, then it leads you, all roads point to who? Christ. And when you get there, you'll find out about a man who was God in flesh, came and lived the life that you could not, that you were incapable, died the death that you were actually due. And it's because of this that we celebrate, we commemorate God in flesh stepping into humanity. Again, if you're genuine, you end up there.
Amen.
I love that.
All right, let's keep it going. All right, so in ancient Rome, the celebration of Saturnalia took place in December and included feasting, gift giving, and uninhibited sex. Then the Christians adopted it, took the sex out and turned it into Christmas. Christians taking the fun out of holidays for over 2,000 years now. Wow. Right? And even Bluey is in on this now. Right? So let's see how truthful this meme is. Let's look at a couple of dates here. So we know that North African churches celebrated December 25th prior to 311 AD. Right? This is way before the quote unquote, Roman Catholic Church. Oh, and by the way, for those of you saying, well, Christmas is a European holiday. Well, the first believers that participated in the celebration of the birth of Christ on December 25th, well, they were in North Africa. So there's that. Okay. You have Tertullian of Carthage, who talks about Christ being born December 25th in the 3rd century. Then you have Hippolytus in his commentary on Daniel talking about that Christ was born December 25th, and his was 202 to 211 AD. All right, we're talking early 3rd century, right? We're talking about early 3rd century. So now, when studying the ancient reference to Saturnalia, a primary source we have is written by Roman Macrobius, who lived in the 5th century. Saturnalia on December 17th, far too early for it to be mistaken for December 25th. So the first written account of Saturnalia comes hundreds of years after North African Christians were celebrating the birth of Christ. Oh, and by the way, it's not even the same day either. So this gets debunked, and Bluey looks tight about that. Very tight. Any questions, comments?
Bluey mad.
Bluey big mad.
I actually, I'm looking this one up, but someone, BK, I just wanted to hear if you had heard this one. This bishop named Pope Saint Telesphorus. Are you familiar with that name?
No.
One of my followers actually put this on the page today. Said that in AD between 126 and 137 that he instituted the tradition of midnight mass on Christmas Eve. And then another one, Theophilus, from 115 to 181, and everything like that. Quoted said, we ought to celebrate the birthday of our Lord on the day soever the 25th of December shall happen. So, man, we may even have sources earlier than we thought and everything like that.
That's
but
what's up.
Way before Macrobius in the 5th century, it just gets worse for them like every year.
Yeah. Real quick, listen, Nick, enough of the Yankee slander, bro. Right? I congratulated you on everything, bro. You guys were the better team, man.
Yeah.
It's like this dude.
Y'all lost one
rubs
of
it
your
in.
peoples today, too, didn't you?
Huh?
Y'all lost one of your peoples today. The Yankees, he signed.
Yeah, that's why he's doing this. That's why he's extra.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's being extra. I love you though, Nick. But gosh, this guy, boy, man, you see what you're doing is messing yourself up, because if we run this back next year and we beat you, I'm gonna give you the business, man.
Oh man, I can't wait.
I'm gonna do a special live. I'm gonna have slides and everything, bro. For real.
Nick, don't get slided by BK.
Shut you down, son. Leave me alone.
That's gonna be an epic day if that happens.
What? Yeah. All right, so let's keep it up. Let's keep it up. So Mithra is the reason for the season. Happy winter solstice. And Stephen A. Smith is like, what?
The hairline, man. This is a young Stephen A.
So really quickly, this is from Manfred Claus, The Roman Cult of Mithras. Quote, we possess virtually no theological statements, either by Mithraists themselves or by other writers. We don't really know what they believe. Oh, and by the way, and me and Kevin was talking about this before in the class, which type of Mithraism? Are we talking Persian or are we talking Roman? Because they're two distinct belief systems that just happen to have the same name. But neither one, you pick the Roman or the Persian, we have no theological statements about that belief system. So how is Mithra the reason for the season when we don't know their reasons? And Stephen A is having a hearty chuckle over this. Right? Questions, comments? We good? All right. All right. So this is a very interesting one. And 50 Cent seems to find it very interesting too, right? Says, for those who have eyes to see, right? So we have, the Christmas tree, and we have this particular, it looks like an obelisk, right? At first glance. So you know me, I start digging, right? And what this is called the Zbruch Idol, the Swatuit cult statue. Right, this is where they get the meme from. This is the actual cult statue. So let's learn a little bit about this cult statue. Since the monument's discovery, there has been ongoing debate about the exact meaning of the idol. We can stop right there. Because for you to make a one-on-one correlation with the Christmas tree, you have to know exactly what that obelisk is. Well, the experts don't really know for sure. In his 1884 work, Ancient Slav Deities, Andrei Sergeyevich Famitism rejected Lilowell's theory and proposed that the Zbruch pillar represented a single deity, and each of its four sides on every tier symbolizing one aspect of this entity. Following the earlier suggestion of Count Potocki, Famitism identified the deity as a Slavic four-headed god Swatuit.
Man, these names on here, man.
which had previously been associated primarily with the island of Rugen, but was now understood to have pan-Slavic significance. Famitism's reasoning was based on historical references that described the Rugen deity being housed in a wooden temple alongside a sacred sword, a drinking horn, and a horse. Additionally, Famitism was the first to connect the pillar's three-tiered structure with the three levels of the world relating to the salvific god Triglav. So as you see here, the experts are going back and forth with exactly what this thing is. So for you to make a one-to-one, connection when the experts don't know what that is, it's just not true. And 50
isn't that
here. Yes.
So it says it's Slavic, right? So that's not like ancient Near East.
Not at all.
It's Germanic.
Right. Well, they say that it's from, they claim that Christmas comes from a European pagan. So this will go in, this goes with that particular argument. But it does not work. All right. This is Christmas. This is Yule. If you want to put Christ back in Christmas, take down your pagan decorations. And Carmelo is like looking up, is like, word, fam? This is what we're doing? This is what we're doing? So in the Oxford Dictionary of English Folklore, in fact, Phil, can you read this for us?
Yule. This word in various spellings means a loosely defined midwinter period, not a single day. In the early languages of most Germanic and Scandinavian countries, Bede, writing of pagan England, mentions 2 months, early Yule or later Yule, corresponding to Roman December and January.
Right. So when we first learn about this term, it describes a midwinter period, not a day, and not really a festival either. It just means, a particular moment in the calendar and cycle. That's all it means, Yule. When you look at the actual, definition. Now, does a festival come from Yule eventually? Well, the only accounts that equate Yule with a festival come from a different time in a different part of Europe. They occur from around 1200 onwards, and almost all in a saga by the Icelandic historian Snorri Sturluson, born in 1179. Now, this is from Scandinavian archaeology. Followers of so-called, quote, neo-pagan religions like Wicca and Astru have sought to revive the old heathen Jol, which is the proper word for Yule, in their own observances. However, this is a difficult endeavor as the holiday lays bare one of the most yawning gaps in our knowledge of pre-Christian Norse. The fact is, we know terribly little about Norse paganism in actual practice. It is also unwise to generalize much because it is very likely that it varied greatly through time and space. The whole Norse world might have acknowledged the same essential pantheon of gods and probably marked the same major annual ceremonies. However, specific rituals may have differed among different regions of the Norse world, and different gods may not have been of uniform importance everywhere. And so, even if a widespread pagan festival like Yule had a quote original form, it is possible that it looked quite different when observed in different areas. So, this is just highly intellectual speculation about a alleged festival that took place in Yule. No one knows because we don't have enough data. So to say Yule is, Christmas is ripping off Yule, ripping what? Ripping what? We have no data. And for those who like to connect Yule with the Druids, I got this gift for you today. Right? This is from Blood and Mistletoe, the history of the Druids in Britain. Ronald Hunton. Kevin, could you be so kind as to read this?
Yes, the Druids may well have been the most prominent magico-religious specialists of some of the peoples of Northwestern Europe just over a couple of thousand years ago. And that is all we can say of them with reasonable certainty. They left no accounts of their beliefs and practices, and so our impressions of them depend ultimately on images produced in other cultures or at later periods. These images are the foundation of all that follows in this book, the basic material from which later concepts of Druidry were constructed. They are vivid and compelling, which is why their effect has been so enduring. They are also, without exception, problematic, controversial, and possibly fallacious. And there is no sure way out of the problems that they present to a historian.
Right. So we don't have a lot of data here about the Druids at all. Right? We don't know. Just like we don't know anything about Norse rituals. We just don't have the data. So Yule being Christmas or a ripoff of Christmas is debunked, and Carmelo's like, told you. Questions, comments.
Am I tripping, or did you put that book in your Patreon recently?
I think I might have. I
I know the name of the book is very, very familiar.
Yep.
I hope we're noticing a trend, fam, that these loose similarities, they're becoming factual items within people's preconceived notions, and see why that's dangerous, because it's super easy to just do simple confirmation bias. And unfortunately, that's just our nature, right? As we don't really care for, and just our human nature, right? We don't want to be wrong. So we're going to look for things that agree with us, and that's even more than just. And I'm talking to fellow believers as well, because we can do this with anything, with our our religious practices, even our own traditions within the Protestant faith.
Yeah.
We've been here in the United States long enough to create a tradition within our denominations. So we have denominational biases as well.
Yep.
And we have political biases, and so there's all this stuff that we have to just be careful of. And this is case in point at a much grander level. We're kind of having some fun with this, but this brings on a larger point, is that this can happen to even the best intentioned believer. As we're having these debates back and forth, and having these differences back and forth, even theological differences. But we just need to be careful of even these subtle confirmation biases, like what we're seeing here.
Good stuff. D Nice, what you got for us?
No, I just kind of, to piggyback off of him, I think what all of these things have in common, they are so very contradictory to who Christ is and what the holiday is indeed about. You talking about statues, you talking about made up people whom let's for the record, let the record reflect that we are talking about a human being that is accounted for in history. Like there, like from that point alone, any of the means that you have just put up that are around a person, guess what? There's a very stark delineation right there. So again, when you look through it, when you parse it out, even as a Christian, as you are trying to defend, it's like I'm not talking about made up people. Because Christmas again, Christian, you who you are, what we are celebrating, what the season about is hinged upon a real person, a person. Like you've got to understand that is what the heart and intent of Christmas is about, your Messiah, right? He comes, he is born in the manger, they see the stars, they come and honor and worship him. Who this is not some fictional being. It's who? The Messiah come in flesh. Like that is, if you wanna really do the Christmas dance, then let's do the dance around the personhood. The personhood.
Yeah.
Of Christ.
Wise words. Wise words.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this one here, traditions not appointed by our Creator. Right? It says Babylon and Egypt before the flood and today. And they share a scripture here. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And LeBron looks a little perplexed at this meme. So what we're seeing here is a phenomenon known as parallelism. So what people like to do is they'll take two pictures or two statues or two portraits that have a similar theme and say, you see, this comes from that. Right? And what we learned in the class, Kevin, is what? Causation does not equate correlation.
Correlation, yeah.
Right? All right. So we're gonna dig deep and we're gonna nerd out and we're gonna look at these different pictures here to see if they have any equivalence with the Christmas tree. But in order to do that, we have to know the origin of the Christmas tree. Like, where does that come from? Right? And then we could do a compare and contrast. So, D Nice, could you be so kind as to read this for us?
Dramas depicting biblical themes began as part of the church's worship, but by the late Middle Ages, they had become rowdy, imaginative performances dominated by lay people and taking place in the open air. The plays celebrating the Nativity were linked to the story of creation in part because Christmas Eve was also considered the feast day of Adam and Eve, thus, as part of the play for that day, the Garden of Eden was symbolized by a paradise tree hung with fruit. Why do we have Christmas? Did I get it right?
That's just the source.
All right.
You're good. So, Phil, can you read this one? Phil, you good? You there?
No, he
dropped off.
He left. All right, Kevin, can you read that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Creation plays presented Adam and Eve, Satan, and cherubs, guardians of the entrance to the Garden of Eden. Also on stage, of course, was a green tree of paradise, decorated with apples and communion hosts. The Paradise play, performed on Christmas Eve, told the story of original sin and the banishment of Adam and Eve from Eden. Human sin was connected to the enjoyment of a fruit, a bright red apple or a pomegranate, and its atonement is set into motion by the birth of Christ. Jesus reaches for the apple that Mary offers him and takes upon himself the sins of the world, a common motif in medieval art. The tree of paradise and knowledge begins to transcend the religious context of the play and move toward a role in the Christmas celebrations of the guilds.
Right. So this is the origin. If you want to know where the Christmas tree comes from, it comes from the creation plays. And, they have this tree, the tree that beguiles Adam and Eve, right? And causes, the sin across the world. Jesus comes in the play and eats from the same fruit as an atonement for the sin, of the world, as the second Adam, as Paul will refer to Christ in Scripture. That's what the Christmas tree is about. It represents the fall of man and the redemption of man by the Son of Man, Jesus Christ. Right? That's the origin. So now, one of the pictures we saw in the meme is this right here from Babylon. Right? Here's the primary source that we could find from that picture from the British Museum. So let's see what the depiction of this bas relief is.
Ooh, good luck with that name.
King Ashurnasir Paul appears twice, dressed in ritual robes and holding the mace symbolizing authority. In front of him, there is a sacred tree, possibly symbolizing life, and he makes a gesture of worship to a god in a winged disc. The god, who may be the sun god Shamash, has a ring in one hand. This is an ancient Mesopotamian symbol of God-given kingship. There are protective spirits on either side behind the king. This symmetrical scene, heavy with symbolism, was placed behind the royal throne. There was another opposite the main door of the throne room, and similar scenes occupied prominent positions in other Assyrian palaces. They were also embroidered on the royal clothes. Traces of color pigment noted on the sandals at the time of excavation, i.e. red soles and black uppers. So that picture represents the god Shamash and the God-given kingship of Ashurnapal. Now, what's the equivalence of that between the fall of man and the redemption by God in the flesh, Jesus? Where's the correlation? There isn't any. There isn't any. So what about Egypt? This picture here, right? This is a better, clearer picture from that meme, right? And this picture comes from this relief in ancient Kemet. And you have Thoth, the one with the animal head. I forgot the other guy's name on the other side. But notice what's in their hands. You might not see it too clearly, so let me give you a close-up. They're holding stylus in their hands. And what are they doing with them stylus? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is from The Ritual of the Isid Tree, a reconstruction by Mary Ann Mazzi, editor, Egyptologist, museum educator, university instructor. The painted decoration of the throne is in faded red, dark blue, and light blue and Rashi pattern. Atum, yes, that's the guy's name. Atum holds a leaf of the Isid tree in his far left hand and a stylus in his near right hand. He is depicted riding on the leaf. His bull's tail projects from his slab above his knees and falls in front of his lower legs, standing in front of the facing Ramesses and the Sukhet Abui. In her far right hand, she holds a stylus and is riding on the Isid leaf. In her near left hand, she holds a notched palm branch, which has Hipsit symbol suspended from it in a seated figure with upraised arms underneath, symbolizing an eternity of Sid festivals. Right? That's what that picture is. In fact, they're writing the future blessings for the king on the leaves with the stylus. What connection does that have with the fall of man and the redemption of man through God in the flesh, Yeshua? There's no connection outside that both talk about trees. That's it. And what about this one? Right? What about this one? The Assyrian god Nisroch was depicted as an eagle-headed deity with wings and exaggerated muscles. In his sculptured relief from Nineveh, he is sprinkling the sacred tree with water. He is holding a water vessel in his left hand and a fir cone sponge in his right. It was to this god that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, was praying when he returned from his campaigns in Israel. The previous verse reveals that the angel of the Lord routed the Assyrian army. Quote, so Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt at Nineveh. And it came to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Nimrod, his god, that Adremelech and Sisera, his sons, smote him with the sword, and they escaped in the land of Armenia. And Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. 2 Kings 19, verses 36 to 37. So, there's a Syrian god, right, watering this tree, and not the most effective and powerful god, because when the king was worshiping him, he got assassinated in front of his own god. As Hulk would say to Loki, puny god. Puny god. What does this have to do with the paradise tree? There's no connection. No connection. And that's why this entire meme is debunked. And LeBron's like, yeah, buddy. It's just completely debunked. Any words?
Yeah, I just want to say, when it comes to like when you parsing out this idea of Christmas and paganism and the intersection of both, I think you continuously to this whole thing and everybody else, it's really important not to hone in on the similarities, but look at the differences. The differences, what they say, the devil's in the details, and I promise you he in there. They in the details. The differences are so very, they contrast. They highlight how unlike any other God Christ is. Even when man attempts to dethrone him, we're not successful. We're not good at it, because again, the differences are really telling. So just keep that in mind. Not to hone on the similarities, but let's tell the people, say, you know what, let's go down that road, but let's look at the differences though. Let's look at where the road deviates.
Because the differences is definitely major. Absolutely, that's good. That's good insight. Kevin, you still with us? No, I guess not. I think he's on another call. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So when you see these memes and similar ones that we showed you today, there's no need to be alarmed or be scared. Because there is no correlation. But outside of them using trees as a symbol, there is no correlation. There is no plagiarism, ripping off. None of that's happening here. At all. At all. So feel secure and confident in your celebration of the birth of Yeshua HaMashiach. And yes, for those who are wondering, was he born that day? Probably not. It was a day that the ancient believers, because the way they computed time was, they believed that the day that you died is 9. If you go back 9 months, that's the day you was born. That's how they computed. When it comes to holy men, and of course, who's more holy than Christ, right? So, and there was differences of opinion even in the early church. Like that's why we have Epiphany, right? And then you have the January 6th. Those of us who are Latino, that's when we give our gifts. It's January 6th for Three Kings Day, right? And there's different variations, there's different ideas. Michael Heiser has a compelling argument for the birth being on September 11th. So it's not knowing the exact date, is celebrating the event which actually occurred, which is the birth of our Lord Christ. That's the main thing. And I mean, technically, as believers, we celebrate that all day. Right? We celebrate it every day. And we those of us who are on the fence, we welcome you to join in the celebration. Yeah, I mean, we've done so much on that, Vaughn. Basically, if you keep reading Jeremiah, right, he tells you that it doesn't talk. Why would he say that unless they're fashioning an idol? people hear the word tree and they put gold and silver on it, and they smuggle in their modern understanding into this ancient text. But if you keep reading Jeremiah, it lets you know what exactly this is. They're it's a scarecrow in a cucumber patch. It's an idol. It's an idol. So all you gotta do is just keep reading, and just the comprehension of the verses undercuts that interpretation. So you funny. Listen, the birth of Christ came way before that day, buddy. So right, don't stop at 4. Keep reading. Keep reading. So with that, enjoy your holiday. And for those who don't care, continue not caring. But don't look at your brother and sister with disdain if they're into it. Right? So with that, some final thoughts. Be nice before we out of here.
I said it once, I said it twice. Jesus is the reason for the season. So if your conscience is really causing you to wrestle, remind yourself we are celebrating the birth of the one that saved you.
Amen. Kevin, are you back?
Partake in celebrating. That's what I got for you. Party away.
That's good. That's good. Kevin, are you back? Nope. Okay. So yeah, guys. I hope this has helped you and edified you. And when people share these memes, share this video. These videos are created as tools for you to defend the faith that you have. So please feel free to share this material, take screenshots, whatever you gotta do that's gonna help you, then do so. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to serve the community of believers. You know what I mean? And for some more lighthearted fun, we're gonna have the Bodega Christmas special coming up shortly. So definitely, tune in for that. That's gonna be just us acting a fool and being silly, So yeah, thanks, bro. Definitely appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate that. So with that being said, it's BK, Kevin, and D Nice signing off. Peace.